Gaze reading where the greats drop by. Trendy authors tell us all the who, what, and why. Anyone can listen, cause we're spoiler free. Gaze reading, from Pulitzer stars to book club picks, where the curious minds can get their fix. So you say you're not gay, well that's okay. There's something for everyone. Gaze reading.
Brian Larson, aka at Brian Reads.
Yes.
Welcome to Gaze Reading.
Thank you for having me. It is a joy. I'm a listener of Gaze Reading for, I don't know, what, 2 years at this point? Maybe more?
Yeah, a little over 2
I
years.
think I had a t-shirt at one point with Gaze Reading, and then my laundry ate it up. I love Gaze Reading.
I am excited to have you here as, well, thank you for saying all of that. I'm excited to have you here as a listener, as a fan, as a friend, as a sister in Alstora book clubs, as a bookstagrammer, as an influencer, as a soon to be published author, as a new podcast host. You are like the Brian of all trades.
Yeah, it's the multi-hyphenate coming out. We're strong.
Congratulations on your new podcast.
Thank you.
I look forward to talking about that in a minute. But since I know there's a lot to talk about, Brian Larson, Brian Reads, I have to know, what are you reading?
Okay. I have a pile here. It's broken up into 2 different piles.
Don't we all?
Yes. The first pile is the books that I've just finished. Like, I tried to do it the past 2 weeks. And so on average, I'm reading like 3 books a week.
Okay, show off, bragger. I'm teasing.
It is a commitment, but I figure like 30 pages in the morning, 10, 20 in the afternoon, and then 30 pages before I go to bed. Also, I think you know this, but for folks that don't, but like reading is like my anchor in sobriety. So like 3 books, it's really all the time I used to spend drinking, I now spend reading.
Yeah.
So it's an escape, and it's also just now an ingrained activity that replaced a really terrible habit with this really beautiful one. That said, I think that's a good segue because, okay, the first book, can you see this, how beautiful it is? The Found Object Society by Michelle Merrick. It's her debut. It comes out February 10th. So good. So good. In 2 sentences, the protagonist, Greta Davenport, is on this wild joyride. She's drunk, and she's trying to deal with grief from 20 years ago over the death of some pretty close loved ones. And then she gets home, and an envelope is slipped under her door and invites her to this society, the Found Object Society. And what happens after that is crazy sauce, and I love it. I love Michelle, and I just know that this is going to be on everyone's best of list.
Great.
At the end of the year. Okay. Next
On
up,
myself. I look forward to checking it out.
Amanda Wynn's Saving 5.
Oh.
It's her memoir. I think it comes out in paperback in a couple weeks. This is the hardback, obviously. This memoir, I read it. It's got this kind of like there's a literary piece to it where like her 5-year-old self is trying to get help from future versions of herself. And it's a comfy read, it's a cozy read, but also like she deals with such big topics. She passed a bill in Congress that allows for rape kits to go past a 6-month expiration date. So basically giving rape survivors the ability to lay claim to their kit for a long period of time. Also, she went up to space with Katy Perry, which is what most folks might know her for, but this book and the initiative she has called Rise, absolutely incredible. And then
That's very good to know.
Kin by Miss Tayari Jones. I love this book so much. It is queer. It is beautifully queer. And I think that's all I want to say. Like the honeysuckle on this cover is gorgeous.
And don't say too much. I have it right here too. Haven't read it yet.
This is the Tayari fan club. Yeah. It'll be on everyone's best of list, but
yeah,
Tayari is such a special person. Okay, and finally, Future Saints by Miss Ashley Winstead. Also, I'm just realizing that all these books are by female authors, which is pretty badass.
Yeah.
This book It is a slight departure for Ashley from, like, her rom-coms and her thrillers. It's tender, it's got a really awesome playlist, and it's about this band, and they're dissolving in the first few chapters, and what kinda happens next is this, like, crazy romance joyride that only Ashley can tell. I would say it's Daisy Jones and the Six meets, oh god, honestly, it's pure Ashley Winstead. Like,
Yeah.
there's no describe
It's
it.
so I talk all the time about how like book comps are impossible and they're so unfair and unkind to books because sure you might say it's part Daisy Jones and the Six, but if you say that and someone goes in expecting Daisy
Oh,
Jones and the
no.
Six, then and that's not what they're getting because it's not, right? It's the future saints. So I feel there are so many books like Tomorrow and Emily St. John Mandel books and
Mhm.
all these books that like often get comped. And it's these books are modern classics. It's just doing such a disservice to the new book. So I think Ashley is so incredible. She could write anything. What I love so much about her, and not that this needs to be like an Ashley Winstead soapbox, but she
I go to her church.
I know, right? Seriously. First of all, she couldn't be nicer.
Yeah.
And she just has such a love of the craft and a love of books and a love of storytelling that it doesn't even matter what genre she's writing in. It just comes from a place of such deep passion. And she's such a quirky, silly human that always gets interspersed throughout her work as well. And she's also like stunning. So I'm a big member of the Ashley Winstead fan club.
Yeah, I mean, she had her first New York City event here this
Yeah.
last week on launch day at the Strand in the Rare Book Room. It was packed, and I guess for me, like, just realizing she writes these really, they're not gory, but, like, the thrillers are just so intense and visceral,
Hmm.
and then her rom-coms are so lovey-dovey, and then Future Saint sits somewhere in the middle, more towards the rom-com side a little bit. It's so inspiring to see an author like her be able to write across genres, and
Yeah.
as an author myself, I'm like, how do you wear these multiple genre hats? Because I'm looking at all these books that I have on King on writing or Save the
Hmm.
Cat, and it's like, you should really only do one genre, right? Don't try to be don't try to go from paranormal romance to thriller. Like, I tried. It's really hard.
But also, I think it's such an interesting comparison, I think, to just general humanness, right? Like people telling each other to stay in their lane or stay in their box or whatever. And it's just such a great example of that doesn't have to be the case and it's not true. And if you have a story to tell, literally or metaphorically, then you should tell it.
Yeah.
Ashley talks a bit about some of this on her episode of Gaze Reading from a couple of years ago, how she has different publishers for different genres.
Yeah.
And so that's part of what makes it quote unquote easy for her to stay in a lane because she's in one lane for one publishing house and another lane for another publishing house. So anyway,
And
she'll
here,
love that we're talking about her.
yeah, well, Hucker Murder Club, I think I have the arc for it here somewhere, but it comes out later this year, so I can't wait for that. And then these are the books, though, that I'm on my TBR pile will likely get through with this snowstorm coming out. The
Oh, so
first
this is what are you about to read?
what am I about
I'm
to read?
excited.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so May Cobb's All the Little Houses.
Hmm.
I think my Instagram is really just a May Cobb fan page at this point. Uh, I've just turned it into one because she's taken me under her wing. She's been so gracious.
Mm.
She's she's just so kind. Her whole team is just so absolutely kind. Everyone at Source Books is incredible. And this is a duology, so I've heard like the
Oh.
ending is a cliffhanger, and May just turned in edits on the second book to form this duology. And I've also heard that it's the Hunting Wives, but dialed up, and then kind of like a Little House on the Prairie setting. So
Hmm.
I'm eager
Interesting.
to dive in. And then let's see this next one, How the Story Goes by Andrew Forster.
Oh, that is not on my radar at all.
You know who put this on my radar?
Who?
Ashley Winstead. Andrew,
Who?
I know. It's funny how it's like book kismet. Andrew sent me this, and I can't wait to dive in. It's his debut,
Mm.
and he's been doing a lot of like quirky reels around it. And
What's the one sentence logline on the back?
in this heartwarming bookish debut, a young widower of a famous children's fantasy author teams up with a down on her luck MFA dropout to write the final book in his late wife's series and find his own perfect ending along the way.
Oh, that sounds so sweet.
Sweet, right?
Yeah.
Excited through this. And then finally, this was heavily influenced by you, by Gabe.
Oh. Oh God. Ah.
Yeah. The Sunflower Voice by Sam. Is it Sam Walkman?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard such great things.
It's a
And
really beautiful book.
I can't. I feel like it might destroy me. So I don't think I might need like that, be in that mental headspace to be destroyed. But I hear it takes place in Ukraine
It does.
and it's queer.
The queerness is subtle, but it is queer.
Okay.
It really, while it takes place with the backdrop of the Ukraine war, it really is this coming of age story of these two brothers, and it's this really beautiful brother story. I know you have a brother and I
Yeah.
have sisters, and so the like sibling dynamic is really special, and it's Sam's debut. It's gorgeously written. Yeah, it's a really special book, so I'm excited for you to read it.
I can't wait. See the influence of gays. Usually I have like my own little like gaze reading in this.
You're a little gaze reading stack.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, these are the ones that I have to like message Jason after I finish. And I either end up trolling you or telling you how great of a, usually it's how great of a pick it was and like how excited I am to like dig deeper or chat with the author or something like that. But
Yeah.
well,
Sunflower Boys was one of my Alstora book club picks, which you have your Alstora book club.
I do.
Congrats. Your
Thank you.
first book is
So my first book for January
was
was Malala's Finding My Way. We're just wrapping up that month, talking all things Malala, her journey through Oxford, her mental health struggles post getting shot by the Taliban and becoming a Nobel laureate. And I think the world, I'm just like, I'm excited for this podcast
yeah.
and folks to see her in this podcast. It's really an awesome conversation between her and I, and it reads like just two friends chatting about books and life. And I do ask her about heated rivalry.
I had the opportunity to check out the podcast, and it is so delightful
Oh, thank you.
watching. It's delightful in general, but watching her be this human rather than a figure, right? There's very different things. In fact, on last week's episode of What Are You Reading, author Nina McConaughey talks about growing up in Wyoming, how she grew up in Casper, Wyoming, where her classmate Matthew Shepard, and the way that she was talking about him, it like truly brought me to tears for the first time on the show because I'd never really heard him humanized in that way. He's been the sort of figure of an event and this sort of tall tale, larger than life figure.
Wow.
So anyways, it was so fun to see Malala, who I think similarly has become a figure, see her in a fun environment.
Yeah. And she really is. She is fun, funny. She cracks jokes. We were in the Uber together over to the studio, and she was cracking jokes with my partner. And I was filling her in on what she should read on her flight to Seattle because she was going to see a hockey game, of course.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then she was trying to like help me understand cricket. I couldn't even pronounce the team's names. Like it was. I think I even tried to do it on the podcast, and she just looks at
Yes,
me
you
in
did.
shame.
She did it in the accent. So
Yeah.
this is the podcast for Shelf Care Society, which is your book club. It's now the podcast brand. Where did Shelf Care Society come from?
Yeah. So Shelf Care, I think its roots are my sobriety, as I touched on earlier. But I always have viewed reading and shelf care as self-care. So when your TBR pile is your like wellness pile, that's what I want folks to feel like when they join Self Care Society or hear the
Mhm.
podcast or hear me even just talking about books on podcasts like this. It's just that love for like really good books that teach you about whether it's mental health, overall wellness. There's a central theme that explores like humanity at its core. I books like that. So February selection is Virginia Evans, The Correspondent, and not because it's blowing up. I think it's right now it's sitting atop the New York Times bestseller list. But
Yeah.
I just remember reading this book, an early arc of it last year, and just being floored at this format of letter after letter and for
Mm.
Sybil. And she has followed me. Not many characters follow you like day after day. And certain scenes, especially around here in New York City, I'm like, oh my God, there's a cat, there's a car. Not, don't do that.
Yeah.
I really love the central of the book. And
What are some of those for the folks that haven't had a
yeah,
chance to read
well,
it yet?
without giving it away, there's so
Yeah.
much to easily give away. So I think there's this idea of what do we call family? And what do we do when there's a tough stretch between siblings, between loved ones,
Mhm.
and maybe you go years without talking to that person? And is there ability to reconnect with them on some plane or some field before you're too old or too much time has passed? And I think that the correspondent just explores that so beautifully. I don't want to give anything away.
That makes total
Her
sense.
writing, she's writing to Ann Patchett, right? She writes to Gideon and heads of university. And I'm like,
Mhm.
go, Sybil, go. And what's really unique is that Virginia's able to take this highly unlikable protagonist and turn her into one of the most lovable protagonists of all time. And I don't say that
Mhm.
lightly because that is so hard to do in writing and in the
Yeah.
format in which she chose it. It's beautifully structured, written, the cover. I just love it. I love it all. And so Virginia's going to be joining me on Shelf Care Society for an Instagram Live in February. And I can't wait to ask her all the questions building up.
You talked about books being this your shelf care, the thing that gets you through your sobriety, the thing that you'll do every day rather than drinking. What was your relationship to books before all of this? When did you
Well,
fall in love with books?
I fell in love with reading in middle school,
Mhm.
and I started to write the first book I ever wrote was at my parents' house in the suburbs of Boston, and it was like a Chronicles of Narnia fanfic. And I imagined like what it would be like to step into my own backyard and if it were to turn into Narnia. And then my mom took me to the Boston Public Library, all the local libraries growing up. So I would just check out books. And then somewhere, I think in high school, with AP English and that more rigid structure of, I'll never be able to read Barbara Kingsolver the same ever again because
Mhm.
it was forced on me and like I
Yeah.
was told to read it. And the Poisonwood Bible, every time I see it, even though I've revisited it, I see it at a bookstore. There's a part of me that's like, dagger to the heart because of having to it's
Yeah.
safer to have to read something for an assignment or for summer reading than it is to
Mhm.
find books when you need them or they find you when you need them. And I think that part was challenging. So I wouldn't say fall out of love with reading, but like things changed and then college
Sure.
happened and then coming out happened and then drinking
Mhm.
at 21 happened. So between ages of, let's say, like 2021 and 26, 27, there was no liter like, I talk about
Hmm.
this of books that sat on my coffee table. I think it was Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale and a few David Sedaris books
Mhm.
that I would dust every week
Yeah.
because they never got read, and they were just fixtures. And now it's not only do I not have to dust books, but they're just like living organisms in the condo, and it's really cool to be a reader, be an early reader for some of these books, and also to be friends with some of these authors is really it's like a pinch me moment. But yeah, falling back in love with reading
Yeah.
happened because of my sobriety and because of all that time you get back. when you're not drinking.
Yeah, and that I think it's been interesting getting to know you over the course of the last few years. I think coming into this version of yourself, right?
Mm.
We met years ago. You had essentially just been talking about your book your memoir that you were writing.
Wow.
Now it's in the hands of editors, right? There's a
Yeah.
book deal. And I think watching you come to all of this as a fan, right? Like when you put an exclamation point in a post, you mean it with your whole body.
Yeah.
And I think the folks who don't get a chance to interact with you don't necessarily see that. But it's fun to see you come to all of this as such a champion and a fan of books and of reading.
Thank you. It's so kind. Life has changed dramatically since not only we met, but also just like honestly, in the past 4 months, it's been like hang on to your seat.
Life
There's
is a roller coaster.
great stuff I can't wait to announce that's coming
Yeah.
up too. And you've been so helpful in helping me navigate these waters of publishing and bookland and
It all takes a village and it takes an army, and these businesses are all about paying it forward. And when I taught master classes when I was in casting, I would always tell young actors people want to work with people that they want to work with.
yeah.
And so it's about being kind, it's about being the best version of yourself, it's about paying it forward. Yeah, and anyway, so we're all in this together, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
Everyone go check out Brian's Alstora Book Club. If you're not already following him, he's at brian.reads on Instagram. I assume you have your Alstora Club linked in your link tree, which I certainly have the Gaze Reading Book Club linked in our link tree. And check out your brand new podcast episode that just came out earlier this week, the Shelf Care Society podcast.
Yes.
Your
Featuring
first
Malala Yousafzai.
featuring Malala. Yes, exactly. It's so exciting.
Russell.
Everyone go check that out. Again, sister in podcasting, sister in Alstora Book Club. I
Yes.
can't wait for your memoir to come out.
Thank you.
And I'll see you at the Ashley Winstead fan club meeting.
Okay. Let's do it. I'm so excited.
Brian, thanks for sharing all of the things that you're reading
Thank you, Jason.
and what you're about to read. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.